Monday, 4:58 a.m. local time, before the first light touched the tiled roof of a quiet mansion in Saddle River, New Jersey. The FBI's Special Task Force launched a surprise raid on the private home of Janice Combs, mother of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, acting on an emergency search warrant issued by federal court after a tense standoff during day 33 of Diddy's ongoing trial. Agents stormed the residence, but what they discovered wasn't hidden behind bookshelves or locked in a safe. It was buried beneath the hardwood floor of the ground floor reading room, a space that had carried a persistent foul odor for months, long dismissed as a plumbing issue. When the third floorboard was pried up, a wave of nausea swept over the entire team. Beneath shattered cement lay decomposing human remains, so decayed that the body parts had fused into a tangled, grotesque mass of gray flesh, matted hair, and fabric. The stench was overwhelming. No one could last more than 30 seconds near the site without feeling faint. One agent ran outside to vomit. Another shouted for the forensic team. Just 12 minutes later, the entire property was sealed off. It horrifying turning point in what's now known as the Diddy files. If this was truly where the bodies were hidden, the chilling question remains: how long had they been there? And why were they buried beneath the feet of the mother of one of Hollywood's most powerful figures? Part 1. Dawn raid at exactly 4:42 a.m. on Monday, June 24, 2025. The quiet Saddle River neighborhood lay still under a thin veil of mist that curled around white fences and towering elm trees, a picture of New Jersey's wealthy, peaceful suburbs. No one could have imagined that. Minutes later, the scene behind the gates of 1277 Oak Glen Drive would become the epicenter of national headlines. 5 unmarked black SUVs screeched to a halt without so much as a honk. 17 FBI agents in tactical black uniforms, helmets, and night vision goggles emerged swiftly, moving with rehearsed precision. Silence filled the air. 2 agents circled to the back door. 3 approached the front. The rest fanned out to secure the perimeter. At 4:46 a.m., a hand signal was given. 2 soft pop suppressors muffling firearm shots broke the silence. The front door burst open. Motion sensors along the hallway lit up as the team surged inside, executing their operation with practiced ease from months of surveillance. The home of Janice Combs, mother of Sean Diddy Combs, wasn't extravagant by celebrity standards, but it was elegant, discreet, and hidden away from neighboring mansions. Thick curtains blocked every window. Security cameras were dark. FBI records show the alarm system had been disabled with a short-range jammer. It took just 90 seconds to secure the entire ground floor. Inside, 83-year-old Janice Combs was found in her upstairs bedroom, sitting upright on the bed in a navy blue bathrobe. Her expression showed no shock, no confusion, just eerie calm. She looked directly at the team leader and simply said, "You finally came." A chill swept through the room, not from her words, but the unsettling serenity in her voice. Janice was escorted downstairs to await questioning. Meanwhile, the forensic team headed to the ground floor reading room, a spot behind the fireplace, where 2 repairmen had previously complained of a foul odor that no one had properly investigated for over 2 years. At 4:59 a.m., a floor technician noticed an abnormal echo beneath the western side of the room, where one cherrywood floorboard measured 4 centimeters thicker than the others, something that didn't match the home's original 1991 plans. When they pried up the first plank, they found moisture-resistant tape sealing the edges. Fresh, discolored concrete lay beneath, cracking and uneven. The moment a small hole was punctured, a suffocating wave of rotting flesh, mold, and industrial cleaners filled the air. One agent collapsed in the corner, vomiting. The others quickly donned military-grade gas masks. Beneath the 40-centimeter-deep concrete slab, a thick plastic liner gnawed by rodents oozed reddish-brown fluid. The smell was unmistakably mass grave, hidden in plain sight. Inside the first bag, agents found a clump of blood-streaked black hair, followed by a human arm, its decayed fingers still tipped with faded red nail polish. The flesh had turned a sickly gray and rubbery. It was classified as advanced stage 3, decomposition over 2 months dead, with accelerated decay from poor conditions, making visual identification impossible. But that wasn't all. Beneath the first bag were at least 2 more bodies, buried with dry sand and charcoal, a burial method linked to the Italian mafia during covert operations in the 1980s. But almost unheard of in modern U.S. homes, especially in the house of an elderly woman with no known criminal history, unless she was helping someone hide the bodies. Within 2 hours, the property was declared a Level 3 crime scene. Additional forensic teams from New York were deployed. A refrigerated van parked at the entrance. By 8 a.m., the remains were sealed in special body bags and transported to Manhattan's medical examiner's office. That morning, the FBI field commander confirmed to reporters, "We have recovered concealed human remains from the home of Janice Combs, mother of the defendant, Sean Combs. This case is now being treated as a high-level federal investigation involving potential concealment of homicide victims and organized crime activity." The announcement sent shockwaves through the public. Until that moment, Diddy had been painted as a fallen star, targeted by the system. But now, signs pointed to something darker, a deep underground network capable of hiding bodies, and possibly a trail of crimes far more sinister than anyone had imagined. Part 2. The autopsy at the Federal Forensic Lab in Manhattan. By 1:18 p.m. that same day, dozens of reporters crowded the security perimeter. Cameras, drones, and microphones were aimed at the cold chamber where the bodies from Diddy's mother's home were being processed. 3 specially sealed body bags, labeled YN558A, YN558B, and YN558C, were logged with crime scene records and initial photographs. All 3 victims were in advanced stages of decay, their bodies bent and compressed into small spaces, showing clear signs of either starvation or death by strangulation or suffocation. The second body, in particular, raised alarm among examiners. Facial bruising. A foreign object stuffed in the mouth. Likely fabric meant to silence the victim. This wasn't accidental. It was premeditated. 2 independent forensic technicians and a senior FBI medical examiner conducted the autopsies, recorded by 3 wide-angle cameras. Every sound was captured for future behavioral analysis. The first body, YN558A, belonged to a woman, estimated between 25 and 30 years old. She had long black hair, a surgically enhanced nose, and breast implant signs that suggested a connection to the entertainment or modeling world. Fingerprint analysis quickly revealed her identity. Camille Hart, 27, a former event assistant for an exclusive Miami party company. She vanished after a Beverly Hills event in April 2022. Her case had been closed. No surveillance footage, no witnesses, no bank activity, but a note in her file chilled investigators. Victim may have been associated with an unnamed VIP client at events under total media blackout. The second body, YN558B, sparked intense debate. The male victim, aged 18 to 22, had a fractured neck, twisted unnaturally to the left. His lower jaw was dislocated, classic signs of manual strangulation from behind. His fingernails were long, suggesting he'd been held captive. Faint marks on his wrists hinted at bindings. His identity was confirmed as Leon Davis, 20, an amateur dancer known for his viral TikTok account, Leomu. His last videos featured him performing at lavish parties. One was tagged #DHOUs, a known connection to Diddy's inner circle. Leon's account was deleted just 3 days after he vanished. His family revealed he once bragged about being invited to perform at the home of a major music icon, but it was the third body, YN558C, that stunned investigators. A teenage girl, estimated between 15 and 17 years old, about 1.58 meters tall, roughly 43 kilograms, brown hair, no major wounds, but minor bruising on the chest and thighs. Severe internal damage to her abdomen forced analysts to rely on teeth and hair samples for DNA. 3 hours of cross-referencing missing persons databases produced a devastating match. Ariel Mendez, 16. She had vanished in December, walking home from school in the Bronx. Her case made headlines when her mother revealed she was approached by a famous woman recruiting young models. The last security footage showed Ariel walking beside a tall woman resembling a former supermodel who once appeared alongside Diddy at a 2019 charity event. 7 months later, Ariel's body was discovered beneath his mother's floor. Her skull was dented on one side, her jawbones bore deep bite-like marks, the source still undetermined. It was no simple hiding of a body. It was a methodical, calculated disposal, buried beneath the home of the mother of a man once considered untouchable in the entertainment world. Inhumane conditions. The autopsy findings were immediately sent to the Department of Justice and the New York prosecutor's office. The case file for the teenage victim was separated as an independent investigation into a suspected network of organized juvenile exploitation. If any connections to Diddy or his associates are uncovered, the case will be upgraded to include charges of sexual abuse and organized homicide, which could lead to all of Diddy's assets being frozen for the duration of the investigation. Household staff, including managers and repair workers tied to the Saddle River property, have been urgently summoned for questioning. The global media erupted within hours. Major outlets like BBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera, along with networks in Mexico, Germany, and Brazil, all reported on the discovery of 3 bodies buried beneath Diddy's mother's house. The entertainment world reeled. Social media exploded with people frantically searching for the victims' names, faces, and histories, fueling endless speculation about Diddy's infamous parties from Los Angeles to Miami to the Bahamas. But the most chilling question now echoed everywhere. If these were just the first 3 bodies, how many more remain hidden? Part 3. The secret of the disabled cameras. While forensic teams worked around the clock at the Manhattan lab, a specialized FBI technical unit returned to the Saddle River mansion with one mission: recover the home's internal surveillance system and up to 2 years of stored footage. According to the home's original blueprints filed with the city, Janice Combs' residence had 14 security cameras installed. They covered every vulnerable area: the front yard, side entrance, garage, hallways, living spaces, and crucially, the reading room, where the bodies were discovered. But as the tech team connected their equipment to the house's data hub, hidden deep in the basement, a disturbing discovery came to light. The entire surveillance system operated offline: no internet, no external access, and used a triple encrypted local hard drive. This level of security is rarely seen in private homes, more typical of financial institutions or high-security corporate facilities. The primary storage, a 60-terabyte RAID 5 array, was hidden behind a false bookshelf in the study, sealed with powerful magnetic locks, accessible only with specialized tools or a unique code. When the team finally extracted the drive, they found it completely wiped. No logs, no cache, no metadata, just a tiny laser-etched message in the corner: reset May per agreement. This revelation stunned investigators. It confirmed that the system wasn't wiped by accident. It was a deliberate, calculated act. Reviewing service records from the past year, detectives found a maintenance ticket dated May 5th, exactly 50 days before the FBI raid. It listed a technician named Maxwell Horowitz from a Brooklyn-based security firm. But when agents visited the company's address, they found only an abandoned building with shuttered offices. IRS records confirmed the business had been dissolved over a year earlier. The maintenance form was either forged or filed by someone operating under the cover of a defunct company. More concerning still, the mansion's power grid showed that cameras covering the ground floor and basement ran on a separate, hidden circuit designed to conceal their energy consumption and avoid standard monitoring. Investigators, digging into Janice Combs' phone records, made another unsettling find: a 17-minute call on May 3rd from an unregistered prepaid phone. Just one call. The same number called again at exactly 4 a.m. on June 24th, barely 30 minutes before the FBI raid. Something happened during those 2 months. Either Janice was warned about the upcoming operation, or arrangements were made to dismantle the surveillance system. The anonymous phone's origin traced back to a vacant lot near Lexington Avenue, site now under development for a media company previously contracted by Bad Boy Records. Diddy's label. The noose tightened. The most damning evidence, however, wasn't digital. It came from the cameras themselves. A ceiling-mounted camera in the reading room, the very room where the bodies were found, appeared fully operational, with blinking indicator lights. But a closer inspection revealed its power cable had been severed from within, and its memory card slot sealed shut with double-layered tape. It was nothing but a prop. This was no technical malfunction. It was an elaborate setup, a pretend camera designed to conceal horrific crimes. The pieces fit together: the wiped surveillance system, forged maintenance records, hidden power circuits, dummy cameras, and untraceable phone calls, all pointing to an orchestrated cover-up executed with military precision. At an emergency press briefing on June 25th, the FBI's New York regional director made it plain: "We are dealing with a deeply organized structure. This is not an isolated incident. This is a covert network designed to shield criminal activity. Without video evidence, our only option is to locate living witnesses and compel the truth." At dawn on June 26th, an anonymous call arrived. A woman's trembling voice spoke just one sentence: "I was invited to that house one night last year. I saw something I still dare not speak of." She left an email address and asked for a private meeting. Part 4. The Anonymous Witnessee. Night of horror at precisely 3:17 a.m. on June 26th. Hours after the FBI's emergency briefing, Federal agent Mary Hinton assigned to witness protection in high-level criminal cases received an email. No subject, no signature, no identifiable metadata. Attached was a short paragraph and a chilling 64-second voice recording. I know that room. I was in it. And I'm still alive only because I ran before it all began. The trembling voice of a middle-aged woman recounted her experience at a VIP party inside Janice Combs' house in late fall of 2023. She had been invited by someone from the entertainment world, promised that the night would change her career forever. She didn't name her contact, but described him as a tall black man, over 6 feet tall, wearing a black velvet suit and red shoes. He constantly spoke on his Bluetooth earpiece, never making eye contact. When she arrived, the mansion's curtains were drawn. 2 men guarded the side entrance, one checking names on a clipboard, the other silently ushering guests inside. Number 1 used the front door. The home looked like any other suburban luxury property. But inside, the atmosphere was anything but ordinary. Soft red lights bathed the ceilings. Every painting was covered with black cloth. Phones were confiscated and sealed in lockboxes. The music wasn't loud, but pulsed with a deep bone vibrating frequency that disoriented guests. She was led to a room behind the reading room, the very space where, months later, bodies would be unearthed. What unsettled her wasn't the dim lighting or the expensive liquor. It was the presence of 4 young girls, silent, expressionless, dressed in sheer wraps and partial masks. As she passed, one of them whispered, barely audible, "Don't stay. If you still have a choice." Later, when shown photos of the recovered bodies by investigators, the witness identified one of the girls with an 85% confidence match to the remains found under the floor. Over the next half hour, she saw at least 6 high-profile figures enter the room: a Grammy-winning rapper, a Latin action film director, a famous black female R&B singer, and 2 men in dark suits with sunglasses. No one introduced themselves. They greeted the man she believed was Diddy with warm embraces. No one discussed business. No one took photos. The most disturbing part, the entire house operated in near total silence. Apart from the ominous music, her panic rose when one of the girls was led through a back door. It locked shut behind her. The music grew louder. Violet lights filled the room. One of the older men pulled a syringe from his jacket. Terrified, the woman faked a stomachache and asked to leave. The escort said nothing, simply returned her phone from the lockbox and opened the door as she reached the driveway. A man's voice called out behind her, "If you tell anyone, tonight will be your last." She didn't look back. That night, she fled Los Angeles, relocated to upstate New York, changed her name, and severed all ties to the entertainment industry. She never spoke of it till the bodies beneath the floor made headlines. "I can't stay silent anymore," she said in her final recording. "I think the only reason I'm alive is because they hadn't noticed me yet. But I won't let those girls be forgotten, discarded like garbage under concrete." The FBI confirmed the recording's authenticity. The voice showed no signs of tampering. The email traced to a cell tower near Buffalo. At the provided address, agents found the woman waiting with 2 suitcases and a faded photograph of one of the masked girls. She agreed to testify under full identity protection. Her statement shifted the entire case from the concealment of unidentified corpses to suspected human trafficking and illegal detention. Carried out with terrifying organization, one hidden witness unlocked the gates to a darker world, where fame sheds its skin behind locked doors, where masks hide not beauty but destruction, and where forgotten girls vanish, discarded without a trace. But if one woman escaped and dared to speak, how many others never had the chance? How many parties? How many locked doors? How many more bodies still hidden beneath the concrete? On the 29th, an armored vehicle carrying Janice Combs left the Federal Medical Center in Brooklyn under maximum security. Its destination, the Southern District Court of New York. The transfer came in response to an emergency subpoena issued by federal judge Harold Micah. For the first time in over 30 years, the woman who had quietly controlled nearly every personal, financial, and legal decision for Sean Diddy Combs was being dragged into the spotlight. Not on a red carpet. Not at a charity gala, but in a cold, silent courtroom. Faced with first-degree criminal evidence. Throughout the entire ride, she said nothing. Her eyes remained locked straight ahead. Her hands clutched tightly at something hidden inside her coat pocket, later revealed to be a wooden rosary etched with D1973, the birth year of her son. But none of the agents believed her silence came from motherly worry. Just 5 hours earlier, A senior investigator confirmed that Janice herself had signed off on the final maintenance invoice for the basement system, the very space where the bodies were discovered back in December, just 2 weeks after a high-profile celebrity gathering at the house. Inside courtroom 5D, Janice was seated in the witness chair, officially classified as a person with the right and duty to present the truth. Shockingly, she declined legal counsel. She simply waited in silence as the interim indictment was read aloud. Then, slowly, she turned her eyes toward the courtroom security camera and began to speak. No one moved. The room froze, like someone had cut the power. Her voice was raspy, but steady. "I didn't think it would come to this," she began. "But if you want the truth, yes, I knew people died in that house. I knew that basement was used to isolate uncooperative girls. I knew Sean recorded celebrities at those parties and kept the tapes as leverage. I also knew people were paid to make sure those videos never saw the light of day." She paused, her expression unreadable. "But I never thought those girls wouldn't make it out. I thought it was all just a game. Cruel, yes, but still, a game. Until I smelled the rot. Until I heard the screams. The footsteps. From below. The entire courtroom recoiled. A few spectators stood up in shock. The grand jury immediately called for verification. But Janice kept speaking. "I didn't open the floor. I wasn't holding the knife. But I didn't call anyone either. I didn't act. And I taught my son how to keep secrets." In that moment, she no longer appeared as the powerful woman behind one of the biggest names in entertainment. Before them stood a living witness. Possibly the final link holding the veil of silence in place for decades. The FBI offered her immediate placement in high-level witness protection, but she refused. "I've lived long enough to know survival isn't always what matters," she said. "What matters is living right." Yet what stunned investigators the most wasn't just her quiet confession. It was her final words, spoken not to the court, not to the agents, but as a chilling warning. "There are people bigger than Sean. Men who stood in my living room in Armani suits, sitting beside drugged children, and now sit on the boards of the biggest corporations in America." She leaned forward slightly, her voice low but unwavering. "Don't think this story ends with me." Her words sliced through every assumption like a blade. She hadn't simply confessed a piece of the puzzle. She'd cracked open an entirely new dimension. A sprawling, corrupt network, reaching far beyond the concrete walls of that mansion. The FBI's internal task force was immediately mobilized, launching full-scale retrievals of financial records, partnership links, and transaction histories tied to every individual named in her testimony. Within 24 hours, at least 3 shell companies previously used to funnel money for entertainment promotions had their accounts frozen. 2 mid-level executives at major media conglomerates were subpoenaed. The list of individuals who had entered the Combs residence is now guarded under the strictest level of federal secrecy. This case has officially grown beyond a family scandal. It's no longer the Diddy case. It is now the exposure of a deeply rooted, manipulative network where sex, money, and fame have been weaponized in ways the public never imagined. And if Janice hadn't spoken, it's likely all of it would have died buried with the bodies beneath that concrete floor.